Poetry Out Loud was created as a way to foster the next generation of literary readers by capitalizing on the latest trends in poetry, recitation, and performance. Poetry Out Loud invites the dynamic aspects of slam poetry, spoken word, and theater into English, theater, humanities, and social studies classrooms. Through Poetry Out Loud, students can master public speaking skills, build self-confidence, and learn about their literary heritage. Reciting a poem, you make it a part of you.
It was pretty much my childhood, and I read it and I cried the first time.
The poems that I presented, I loved. I connected with them instantly. I understood them, which I thought was amazing.
It also becomes more personal to you, and you appreciate something new about it with each recitation. Each student was required to select and prepare 3 poems from a list prepared by the Poetry Foundation and the National Endowment for the Arts. Scores will be averaged, and the top 3 scoring students will advance to round 3, where they will recite their 3rd poem.
What really drew me to these poems was they really sounded nice, but I did some research on them, and the deeper meaning that they had was really what stood out to me. Even though it may sound like this, it actually meant this.
From Lincoln County, Elizabeth Glockner.
The Listeners by Walter de la Mare.
The Listeners meant a lot to me because it spoke a lot about how there is life after death.
Is anybody there? Said the traveler, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse in the silence champed the grasses of the forest's ferny floor. And a bird flew up out of the turret, above the traveler's head, and he smote upon the door a second time. Is anybody there? He said. But no one descended upon the traveler. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his gray eyes where he stood, perplexed and still. But only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men, stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveler's call. And he felt in his heart their strangeness, their stillness answering his cry, while his horse moved, cropping the dark turf neath the starred and leafy sky. For he suddenly smote on the door, even louder, and lifted his head. Tell them I came, and no one answered, that I kept my word, he said. Never the least stir made the listeners, though every word he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the dark house from that one man left awake. Aye, they heard his footstep upon the stirrup and the sound of iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone.
I identified with them quite a bit. The first one alone by Edgar Allan Poe. I didn't really have friends when I was little. I was that one weird kid who sat messing around with rocks in the corner of the playground.
Now from Story County, here is Christian Curtis.
And with I Find No Peace, I'm a teenager. Just give me that one. Okay. I Find No Peace by Thomas Wyatt. I find no peace, and all my war is done. I fear and hope. I burn and freeze like ice. I fly above the wind, yet can I not arise? And naught I have, and all the world I season, that loseth nor locketh, holdeth me in prison. And holdeth me not, yet can I scape no wise, nor letteth me live, nor die at my device. And yet of death it giveth me occasion. Without eyen I see, and without tongue I plain. I desire to perish, and yet I ask health. I love another, and thus I hate myself. I feed me in sorrow, and laugh in all my pain. Likewise displeaseth me both life and death, and my delight is the causer of this strife.
From the Nevada Virtual Academy, Elizabeth Louise Allegret.
A Poison Tree by William Blake. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not, my wrath did grow. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles and with soft, deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine, and into my garden stole when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning, glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree.
For my poems, I enjoyed reciting all of them a lot. The first one, Inside Out, was definitely the most passionate and the most emotional, so that was fun to recite.
I walk the purple carpet into your eye, carrying the silver butter server. But a truck rumbles by, leaving its black tire prints on my foot and old images. The sound of banging screen doors on hot afternoons. And a fly buzzing over the Kool-Aid spilled on the sink flicker as reflections on a metal surface. Come inside, you said. Inside your paintings. Inside the blood factory. Inside the old songs that line your hands. Inside eyes that change like a snowflake every second. Inside spinach leaves, holding that one piece of gravel, inside the whiskers of a cat, inside your old hat, and most of all, inside your mouth, where you grind the pigments with your teeth, painting with a broken bottle on the floor and painting with an ostrich feather on the moon that rolls out of my mouth. You cannot let me walk inside you too long, inside the veins where my small feet touch bottom. You must reach inside and pull me like a silver bullet from your arm.
From White Pine County, Christopher Caceres.
What if I didn't shoot the lady running away from our patrol? Or the old man in the back of the head? Or the boy in the marketplace? Or what if the boy... But he didn't have a grenade. What if the lady in Hugh didn't lie in the rain, in a mortar pit, with 7 Marines just for food? Gaffney didn't get shot in the knee. Ames didn't die in the river. Sky didn't die in the medevac chopper in between Con Thien and Da Nang. In Vietnamese, Con Thien means place of angels. What if it really was, instead of the place of rotting sandbags, incoming heavy artillery, rats, and mud? Or what if Ames and Sky were the angels? Or the lady, or the man, or the boy, and they lifted Gaffney out of the mud, and they healed his shattered knee? Or what if it all didn't happen the way I said? Would it all be a lie? Would the wreckage suddenly become beautiful? Would the dead rise up and walk?
And from Lyon County is Christian Shunke.
You have to be able to act and learn from the poem and in a way become the speaker.
Invictus by William Ernest Henry. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit, from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet, the menace of the years finds and shall find me, unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
From Carson City, Tracy Thornton.
The Arrow and the Song by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I shot an arrow into the air. It fell to earth, I know not where. For so swiftly it flew, the sight could not follow it in its flight. I breathed a song into the air. It fell to earth, I know not where. For who has sight so keen and strong that it can follow the flight of song? Long, long afterward in an oak, I found the arrow, still unbroke, and the song from beginning to end I found again in the heart of a friend. Thank you.
From Washoe County, Cheyenne Underwood.
Happiness by Paisley Rackdahl. I have been taught never to brag, but now I cannot help it. I keep a beautiful garden, all abundance, indiscriminate, pulling itself from the stubborn earth. Does it offend you to watch me working in it? Touching my hands to the greening tips, or tearing the yellow stalks back? So wild, the living and the dead both snap off in my hands. The neighbor with his stuttering fingers, the neighbor with his broken love, each comes up my drive to receive his pitying, accustomed consolations, watches me work in silence a while, rises in anger, walks back. Does it offend them to watch me not mourning with them, but working fitfully, fruitlessly, working the way the bees work, which is to say, by instinct alone, which looks like pleasure? I can stand for hours among the sweet narcissus, silent as a point of bone. I can wait longer than sadness. I can wait longer than your grief. It is such a small thing to be proud of, a garden. Today, there are scrub jays, quail, a woodpecker knocking at the white and black shapes of trees, and someone's lost rabbit scratching under the barberry. Is it indiscriminate? Should it shrink back, wither, and expurgate? Should I, too, not be loved? It is only a little time, a little space. Why not watch the grasses take up their colors in a rush, like a stream of kerosene being lit? If I could not have made this garden beautiful, I wouldn't understand your suffering, nor care for each the same inflamed way. I would have to stay only like the bees, beyond consciousness, beyond self-reproach, fingers dug down hard into stone, and growing nothing. There's no end to ego with its museum of disappointments. I want to take my neighbors into the garden and show them, here is consolation, here's your pity. Look how much seed it drops around the sparrows as they fight. It lives alongside their misery. It glows each evening with a violent light.
When you read some of the biographies of the students in the program today, how many of them mention the arts and the importance of the arts in their lives and in their schools especially. Some of them take dancing, some of them take music, a lot of them take theater and writing, but the arts are so important to so many of the students here, and it just underscores the importance of arts education and arts learning in our schools, and how very critical it is to the creativity and the innovation and the excitement in our students when the arts are present in education.
You know, as a dad, I would love for my daughter to become a performing artist of some kind and a poet. Actually, I come from a family of poets, so that's kind of in our lineage. I am not the poet, but my daughter definitely has that. And so to me, it would just be great because, like I said before, she loves to be performing and just being on stage in front of the crowd.
Domestic Situation by Ernest Hilbert. Maybe you've heard about this. Maybe not. A man came home and chucked his girlfriend's cat in the wood chipper. This really happened. Dinner wasn't ready on time. A lot of other little things went wrong. He spat on her father, who came out when he learned about it. He also broke her pinky, stole her checks, and got her sister pregnant. But she stood by him, stood strong through it all, because she loved him. She loved him, you see. She actually said that, and then she went and married him. She felt some unique call. Don't try to understand what another person means by love. Don't even bother.
It Was Not Death, for I Stood Up, by Emily Dickinson. It was not death, for I stood up, and all the dead lie down. It was not night, for all the bells put out their tongues for noon. It was not frost, for on my flesh I felt Sirocco's crawl, nor fire for my marble feet could keep a chancel cool. And yet it tasted like them all. The figures I have seen, set orderly for burial, reminded me of mine, as if my life were shaven and fitted to a frame and could not breathe without a key. And 'twas like midnight sun, when everything that ticked has stopped, and space stares all around, or grisly frost for his autumn morns repeal the beating ground. But most, like chaos, stopless, cool, without a chance or spar, or even a report of land to justify despair.
Now from Clark County is Princess Jackson.
The Paradox by Paul Laurence Dunbar. I am the mother of sorrows. I am the ender of grief. I am the bud and the blossom. I am the late falling leaf. I am thy priest and thy poet. I am thy serf and thy king. I cure the tears of the heartsick. When I come near, they shall sing. White are my hands as a snowdrop. Swart are my fingers as clay. Dark is my frown as the midnight. Fair is my brow as the day. Battle and war are my minions, doing my will as divine. I am a calmer of passions. Peace is a nursling of mine. Speak to me gently or curse me. Seek me or fly from my sight. I am that fool in the morning. Thou art my slave in the night. Down to the grave will I take thee, out from the noise of the strife. Then shalt thou see me and know me, death then no longer but life. Then shalt thou sing at my coming, kiss me with passionate breath, clasp me, and smile to have thought me ought save the foeman of death. Come to me, brother, when weary. Come when thy lonely heart swells. I'll guide thy footsteps and lead thee down where the dream woman dwells.
The Maldive Shark by Herman Melville. About the shark, phlegmatical one, pale sot of the Maldive Sea, the sleek little pilot fish, azure and slim, how alert in attendance be. From his saw pit of mouth, from his charnel of maw, they have nothing of harm to dread, but liquidly glide on his ghastly flank, or before his Gorgonian head, or lurk in the port of serrated teeth, in white triple tiers of glittering gates, and there find a haven when peril's abroad, an asylum in jaws of the fates. They are friends, and friendly they guide him to prey, yet never partake of the treat. Eyes and brains to the dotard, lethargic, and dull, pale ravener of horrible meat.
I feel that Poetry Out Loud has allowed Savannah to grow as a person. She started off as a very shy little girl, would become a wallflower instead of branching out to interact with people, and this has definitely changed that in her.
Poetry is very important for students to feel ownership of, because poetry is the embodiment of what it means when we say it's not only what you say, but how you say it. A good poem can be as impactful as a 300-page novel, and students engaging deeply with one poem, learning it by heart, and telling it for an audience is the closest they can come to the experience of writing a poem or writing something that may be as impactful as a long novel.
In third place, from Elko County, Michaela C. Bates.
Coming to state for my first year and winning third place was really a fulfilling experience.
Beneath the hanging sequence of tinted skies, out toward that mindless, immortalizing light.
My experience at State Poetry Out Loud was really cool. I got to, feel really special because I'm like, one in 2,500, right? And it was just really cool to be able to represent my county and my school.
In second place, from Clark County, Princess Jackson.
I chose my 3 poems. Instantly, I connected with them, I understood them, I loved them. which is what was my weakness prior 4 years. I said, this is great, I understand this, I got this, and I'm glad I chose them.
And in first place from Lyon County, Christian Schunke.
It's a wonderful feeling being able to come here and compete with all these other students. They all did phenomenal, but it's like the MC said, you have to be able to act and learn from the poem and in a way become the speaker.
I am so inspired by this program.
I now have more of a grasp on other things besides, just the basics like math and English and science. I can now kind of understand the inner workings of other people's minds because I'm more capable of interpreting their own poetry now. So it's nice.
The competition is so strong at this level, at the state finals level. All of them are so good. These students are so good at what they're doing.
The unique quality that teenagers have to be open to poetry and respond to it just from that innocence, from their hearts, really makes this program very special and makes it important for them to really get an introduction to poetry.
I say if you don't win this time, come back and keep trying. And poetry, don't stop reading, learning, and reciting poetry.